What's up, everyone? It is Sean Evans here with Odds Shopper, bringing you another CSGO Underdog Fantasy video for tomorrow, day 3 of the Blast Premier event. We do have some pretty solid matchups. We have OG moving on to face Australis. Then we have Heroic facing Team Liquid. And then we have a great matchup to end the day with Vitality versus Navi. Obviously, Navi has Simple back. He flew in earlier this week to make it for the playoff round. So that is going to be a very interesting and exciting matchup to watch. Just to recap what happened for Friday, we did have Twist easily hit over the 24 headshots. The guy does not miss. He ended the day with 27. And then moving on to the G2 versus Vitality matchup. G2 did not look anything like yesterday. It was pretty bad. So Nico didn't hit the 20 headshot or 21 headshot mark. I believe he finished with 20. And then m0NESY, obviously, he just finished with about 31 kills. Map 1 was horrible. They picked Vertigo. Vitality ran them off that map. Going back then to Nuke for map 2, where G2 ran Vitality off the map. It gave no leverage for any type of room. Did not go the distance like we expected it to. Just two flip-flop performances on both sides of those maps for G2, for m0NESY, for Nico. So it was a tough break. But like I said, we do have more great matchups to kick off our weekend for Saturday. And before we do get into that, make sure you do hit the like and subscribe button down below. Turn your notifications on. That way you always get notified when we do drop another video covering all of your sports needs for you guys. But let's go ahead and let's dive into the action starting for tomorrow. So first up, we do have OG facing Australis. OG obviously has fought pretty hard to stay alive in the playoffs. A great win over FaZe. And now they get Australis, which is kind of like a step backwards. Australis isn't the same type of opponent it is for FaZe. But they are pretty good team. Obviously, we've seen them for the RMR qualifiers. They just keep struggling. But there still should be a pretty good matchup. There is one play that I do like for this series, and I do believe that it is pretty low. And that is going to be Blame F, 16 headshots. I do like the over for him. Even though he just has a 38% headshot rating for the past 3 months, this guy is a head-tapping machine. Just in best one series of the last 3 that they have played versus OG in their first go-around, he had 13 headshots on one map. Versus Nip, he had 12, one map again. And then in the do-over versus OG in match number 2 in their group stage, he only had 8. But that 8 is still obviously halfway to 16. But as we've seen in the past from Blame, he hits the halfway point or a little bit over it, within the first map. And if this is competitive, obviously we keep saying that for these series, but if it actually is, Blame has a very good chance of hitting the over for 16 headshots. Obviously, if Config isn't stepping up, that means Blame is going to have to do a lot more in this matchup to try and secure their victory and stay alive for the Blast Premier playoffs. I do think it's going to be a pretty fun series to watch, but Blame F at 16 headshots hitting the over is what I want to kick off the slip with, and so that's what I will be starting with. Dexter, once again, at 43 kills, a little bit too high for my liking. I do believe he can hit it. And then looking at the duos, which they are bringing back on Underdog Fantasy, Neofrag and Fiku, over 68 kills. That's more going to be on Neofrag and what he can bring to the table. Obviously, Fiku can bring the kills. He does frag with Dexter. But it's more of what Neofrag will be able to bring to that table. And then if those two are on the same page, I think 68 is pretty doable for them. But I will be sticking with Blame F as the first kickoff to the slip at 16 headshots. And before we do dive into the second pick, as always, if you have yet to sign up at Underdog Fantasy, make sure to use promo code Stochastic8, that is the number 8, and double your first deposit. So do make sure you get in on that. Join in on the fun with us here at Underdog Fantasy. Obviously, more CSGO videos for you guys. We are going to be bringing a lot more when the ESL Pro League kicks off in a week. So do not miss out on that, and make sure you do sign up using promo code Stochastic8. That is the number 8 to get double your first deposit. And then moving on to the second pick, this is going to be in the second series of the day with Heroic versus Team Liquid, but it's going to be Sush under 38 kills. So for this one, He hasn't hit 38 kills in the best or in a best of 3 series since July 11th. Knowing that we did have that 1 month break, that is still pretty, early on in July where they did play a lot of series. So he hasn't hit that since then. Stavin and Tessis are going to be taking up the usage most of the time on these maps versus Liquid. And if we get the Team Liquid that we saw versus NIP today, then Heroic most likely is going to struggle a lot trying to get through the maps versus his team. And on top of that, Heroic also added Roje, as we have seen from Copenhagen Flames. And once his chemistry and comfort and gets comfortable with this starting core, he's going to take a lot of usage too. He's going to be up there with Savin. He's going to be doing a lot more fragging for them. So Sush at 38 kills, that is a tad too high. If it was at 36 or maybe even 35, I'd be okay with it. But I do want to take the under on that. And what is the cherry on top is that he only holds a 0.98 player rating versus Team Liquid so far in 2022. So that means that he has struggled already with them. And that was before they added Yukendar. So now with Liquid having Yukendar versus Heroic, it's going to make Elige a lot better. Yukendar is already starting to top frag and everything for them. So it's just going to bring a lot more struggle for opposing teams like we saw today with NIP and what we're most likely going to see versus Heroic. Team Liquid is going to put up a fight, and so Sush under 38 kills is my favorite second play for the slip. And then moving on to the very final series, the most exciting one. There are two things here, well, maybe three. Simple at 45.5 kills. That is pretty high. It's his first series back on LAN, obviously, and back from the player break. He does obviously play over the break, but he mainly was focusing on, more other stuff like Valorant. So he is going to need to get those gears loose and going again. So I want to stay away from Simple and his line. And then Zyru is pretty low at 38.5 kills. So you could look to take the over on that. We saw that he's already on it. Obviously, Spinks is going to take some usage from him. But 38.5 for Zyru is pretty low. But the main one I want to stick with is going to be Electronic and going to be hitting the under of 40 kills. So for that, he actually hasn't hit 40 kills versus Vitality since 2020. He either borderlines it at 39 kills or he's hitting about 35 kills. So I do want to stay under with Electronic, under 40 kills, and mainly also because Simple is back in the lineup. This isn't like Head Trick playing in where, Electronic is going to be able to step up and take more usage. It's going to be more focusing on Simple and him taking care of Vitality, taking care of Zyru himself. So I want to stay at the under there. And then with the playing stage, he did struggle in the finals versus Team Liquid. He only had 12 kills. And then he struggled, obviously, in the rematch versus Complexity. I think he only had about 14 or 15 kills versus them. So I do want to stay on the under. I think that's going to be the easiest call for a Navi player is to be hitting the under with Electronic of 40 kills. So just recapping, obviously Blame F over 16 headshots, Sush over 38 or under 38 kills, and Electronic under 40 kills. It is a slip of unders today for Saturday, but it's what is the data pulling at is going to be Sush hitting under just because he's already struggled versus Team Liquid, and Electronic obviously has struggled for 2 years now versus Vitality. And Blame F, obviously the player that he is, he's going to have shots called for him. He's going to be stepping up if other members of Australis can't frag with him versus OG. So that's going to be it. And remember that you do hit that like and subscribe button down below, turn your notifications on, and that's it. Good luck, everybody. Have a good one.